my life has been so affected by lust that it did a lot of things to me. Yeah, it did
Me
a
too,
lot.
bro. Like, to be honest. The world.
In this world,
In
in
the
this
sex.
world, it is normal. High school, they talk about it all the time. People just talking about sex and these different websites and stuff like that. It becomes a normal thing, and then your brain becomes numb to it. Different movies and scenes that you see, like it becomes such a normal thing, and people don't care about it anymore. But you have to realize that if you want to love God, you can't love that as well. In that specific sin, lust, like you can build habits, like, oh, when I'm sad, I'm gonna go do this, or when I'm lonely, I'm gonna go do this. And I felt that coming back. I was frustrated, and I was by myself, and I felt like, oh, okay, I want to sin right now.
How difficult is to be a Christian in your age? And how do you talk to other teenagers? Was it difficult in high school? In right now?
Yeah.
How difficult is it?
Honestly, I really just think I think it just depends on your choices.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is my first time speaking English in a video, so be easy with me if I say something wrong, because my first language is Spanish. But welcome to the channel. I'm here with my friend and brother in Christ, Jordan Enari.
Yes.
I said it right?
Yeah, you got it, bro.
Okay. And he's gonna talk to us about his testimony. How does it feel to be a Christian teenager? Because you right now are 18, right?
I'm 19 now.
19?
I just turned 19.
When?
February.
What?
Yeah, bro.
Happy birthday. Dang. What a friend I am.
No, it's okay, bro. It's
I
fine.
didn't know.
It's fine. You're not on social media, so
Yeah.
it's fine.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you,
But
bro.
you're still a teen.
I'm still
You're
a teen.
19.
Yeah, bro.
Damn, bro. You look... Well, you don't look older, but when you speak, your soul
He said I had a
sounds...
baby face. He just said I look really young. Go ahead. No, it's okay. I embrace it.
When you talk like more mature
Yeah.
than a 19 or a normal teenager.
I like
But
that.
first question is gonna be here.
Is that a Bible or a notebook?
A notebook.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So you were grown in the church, right? You grew up in the church?
Yeah.
Or how was it as a little? How do you start hearing about God?
So, I didn't grow up in Victory Outreach, but
Okay.
I grew up in a different ministry. It was called, I guess it's just a different church. It was called Destiny Christian Center, and I started going there in 2013. So how old was I?
Like 8?
Yeah, 7 or 8. I was 7 or 8, bro.
That was the first time that you went to church?
Yeah.
How was it?
Bro,
Oh, you don't remember?
I don't remember my first time exactly. I think I mostly enjoyed it because I was little, so I just enjoyed hanging around other kids. Like, It was something fun to do on Sundays, But I went to that church for 8 years. So
It's the one on Cheyenne?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you passed it.
Yeah,
I remember.
went there one time.
Oh, I remember. Okay,
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah, yeah.
It was so, bro, when I started like worship, I
Yeah.
started like clapping and like jumping and stuff. Like they're on fire, bro.
Yeah.
They're on fire.
That's good.
And I like it, but I was going to Victor Outreach, so
Yeah.
I just went there one time because one of the ladies we met in the flower store, and she invited us. But I liked it.
Yeah.
But yeah. But the other question is, when do you start like knowing that God was real? Like you start like going to church around 8.
Yeah.
When do you start like feeling like, okay, this is something real?
Yeah.
Like this is the way of
Well,
life.
I think the way, okay, that's a really good question. Like the way of life, that's like, the way that we're supposed to live. But I think I always kind of knew God was real, more so just because that was something that was instilled in me, I think the way I grew up, like, I wasn't allowed to say like, oh my God, or anything like that. I wasn't allowed to say that. It was my parents and, the adults I was around, they were very big on like, reverence for God, I I wouldn't say my family was very big like Christians though, just more so like they believed that God existed, and that was instilled in me, you know. But then once I started going to church, I think I just knew that God was real. I don't think
Yeah,
I
you
just
just felt like
that's just how I felt, you know. I remember like I won't say I was a bad kid, but I wasn't the best kid. I was very sneaky. I did a lot of things I shouldn't have done. This is when I was little too.
yeah.
I did a lot of
We
sneaky
all
things.
do.
Yeah.
We all do.
Have you stolen from your kindergarten teacher?
I stole from stores. Like
Store? Okay. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
But I stole from my teacher, bro. Like who does that? Kindergarten, bro. I stole from my kindergarten teacher. For what?
Wow.
And I told my mom that she gave it to me. I was a little liar. Bro, and I stole. But no, I just like little things like that. I remember like, I don't know if it was my parents. Sorry, I don't remember if my parents'
Faith.
wedding day, or just like, I'm sorry, going to the church, for a little bit. I remember going back to my family, like my cousins, stuff like that, and telling them like, hey, like I can't be doing this stuff no more. Like just like I couldn't. And I was little too. Like I was little, you know.
You confess.
Confess? No, I was telling my cousins, I was like, you know, I gotta, like, I can't do that anymore. You know, I'm Christian now. You know, I gotta stop. And I didn't know anything. I just knew that it was wrong. So, you know, I was telling them.
When
go
was
ahead.
your first encounter with the Holy Spirit?
Encounter with God?
Yeah, like you like, oh my,
Yeah.
like you felt that.
That's
Well,
crazy.
there's no words that you can describe
Yeah.
that feeling, but it was like, I remember mine when I was little.
Yeah.
I didn't know, like everyone was worshiping and they were just closing their eyes and lifting their hands.
Yeah.
I was like, what are they doing? Like I thought they were weird
Yeah.
or something. I was like, I'm gonna try it, and I started like closing my eyes. I was like 7,
Yeah.
and I was like, I felt the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
It was like something different. And when I opened my eyes, I was like, wow.
At 7?
Yeah.
That's crazy. No, bro. I don't think I truly had an encounter with God until I was 17.
17?
17.
So 2 years ago?
Yeah. So
How was it? Like a dream or like...
I think it was more so like I really felt like more so I really felt God's calling on my life, you know. More so him pulling me back towards him, you know, because I went to church when I was little, you know, and I said I went to that church for 8 years, but we stopped going in 2020. So there was a 4-year gap, 4-year gaps until I started going to Victory Outreach. And in that 4-year gap, I think I became very distant from God, you know, very, very distant. And I never said I like lost my faith. I never said I wasn't a Christian, but I wasn't close to God. I didn't know God. I didn't know, you know, God's character at all. Like I couldn't tell people about God. I mean, I could and I would. But it was more so from like a place of like self-righteousness. I felt better about it. I felt better about myself when I would say things like that, but I wasn't really a great.
So you were, in short words, you were used to religion, or it was more religion and not relationship with God?
Yeah. I'll
It
definitely
was
say
more
that.
religion, like, oh, God and stuff.
Yeah, because that's just Christian at that church. They I probably shouldn't say the name. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Well, just don't say nothing.
the church that I went to, why are you laughing, bro? Stop.
No, it's good.
They had a children's like a children's ministry, you know, and that's where I mostly was. That's where I was all the time, you know. So not that they weren't doing like, you know, not that it wasn't like its own powerful place. Like they were definitely teaching us a lot of really good things in there, you know, and different age groups too. Like I went there when I was 7, and you didn't go to the sanctuary until I think you were 13. So from 7 or 8 till 13, I was in the children's ministry, and I was learning about God, you know. I was learning different things, and I didn't go into the sanctuary until 2020. So I only went to the sanctuary like 5 times. So I really didn't understand a lot about church at all. I more so only understood children's ministry. So because then COVID happened, and I stopped caring about church. I did not care. I was like, oh my gosh, freedom on Sunday. Like I get to.
Also, for 4 years, you didn't go to church?
No, not
just
at all.
Chill?
I didn't go to church for 4 years, bro.
So in those 4 years, did you start like going out, partying, drinking, all the stuff?
I think yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think
It's okay. Or like,
I didn't go out. I went out. I listen. I don't. I'm never gonna say I was. I don't think I was a bad kid at all. I don't think I was. I just think that I felt a sense of like freedom. My parents were very trusting with me, and I value that, and I never wanted to get rid of their trust, but there was just things that I wanted to try just to understand it,
we all go through that.
Yeah.
Like most, like 99.9 teenagers go through, like, rebellious. I don't know how to
Rebellious?
say. Yeah, rebellious thing.
Rebellious. That's a good term for it. I never went to like any like crazy parties or anything like that, or anything like, because I wasn't interested in that. I was kind of scared.
But you never got addicted to like alcohol, drugs.
No,
And stuff.
I never nothing, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful
good.
that because that's something that I wanted. I wanted to like
Try it.
I wanted to try it more so just like for the feeling, not because like I more so just want to understand it for myself. Like, okay, so why everybody's at school is talking about this? I want to try this. I want to understand it. And of course, at that time, my family, they weren't going to church either. My family they didn't go to church for those 4 years either. So it's like, I'm surrounded by worldly things, and less of God. There was nobody in my life that was really preaching the gospel to me or like teaching me about godly things, or
like,
keeping me accountable with with God. So I really started to fall off. My relationship with God started to really like deteriorate, and it's nothing that God did. God didn't. I never blamed God, and I never really understood it until other things happened in my life. I more so just, I never thought of it. I never thought about it. I never thought like, okay, I might be distant from God. I always like, like every year that went by, like I want to grow my relationship with God. On New Year's, setting my my New Year's resolution. Oh, I want to grow closer to God. I want to, build my relationship with God. And then I would do it for a little bit. I was still doing things like, that Christians should do. I was reading my Bible with my friend.
Oh, really?
I was doing devotionals with him and stuff. But I wasn't living the life I was supposed to.
So whenever you were in that life of craziness or just going out and stuff, what was one thing or one situation or something that made you thought or realize like, hey, I gotta go back to Christ. Like I'm in the wrong way. I gotta go back.
Yeah. It's crazy. I was at a party.
Really?
I was at a party.
You just around,
I was at a
like
party.
drinks and stuff. You're like, dang man, I gotta go back to Christ.
I'll tell you, bro. So I was at a party, and I went to this party with a girl that I really liked, and I was best friends with her and her brother. Best friends with them. Best friends. Like they were literally they were my closest friends, my best friends. And I told her mom I don't drink, and I don't drink. I didn't. I've tried things before, but that was it. Mostly just trying things. And I told her mom asked me like, do you drink? Because it was a family party, family party. Okay. But they drink. They were going to be drinking. They were going to be smoking and stuff like that. And I knew that. I knew that. I was used to being around that. That was fine. And I went to the party, and I just felt this urge to do it. I felt this urge to do it. And I don't laugh, bro. Don't laugh.
No, it's okay because I laugh because I've been through there.
Yeah.
So I know how you feel.
I felt this urge to do something I was not supposed to do. Okay, to do something I wasn't supposed to do at all, and I was sneaky about it. Nobody saw me. I did it. Nobody saw me. Nobody knew, and until they were taking me home, and the girl asked me, did you do it? Like, did you do something? I'm like, I smiled, and she realized, And then, I called her, we were talking, and she was like, like, my mom trusted you, you always tell me not to do those things, and like, don't ever tell me about God ever again,
Oh, wow.
Bro,
straight up, like,
she was upset, man. She was like, don't ever try to preach to me about the Bible, all these different things, because I was a hypocrite. I was a big hypocrite, like, I made exceptions for myself. I would try to preach to other people, be like, this is wrong.
But you do it.
Don't do that. Yeah, like, a good example I like to use is like, I don't cuss, but I used to listen to music that cussed a lot, and I would say that all the time. Like, I've never cussed before. Do you believe that?
Yeah.
I've never cussed before.
Dang.
So I don't know if they're gonna believe that, but I've never cussed before.
Not even whenever you were out of Christ?
No.
Wow.
I was scared. I was scared.
Dang.
I was scared. Okay,
That's good, bro.
it's just the way I grew up. Okay, I was scared. I was taught that from a young age that it was wrong, and I didn't want to get in trouble. So, and more so, just I'm kind of like proving a point to myself. I'm trying to see if I can, And then I've been doing good with that. But the music I listen to,
They were cussing.
they're cussing a lot.
And they're like making you like want to cuss.
That and also like I became used to it. It became more so like a thing like I was okay with, like not that I had to be like, oh my gosh, you're cussing, stop talking to me, nothing like that. But I became more so like, I started to accept it more, But then I would go around and ask people, hey, stop cussing around me, don't do that. I don't like cussing. I don't like that. But then the music I'm blasting in the car is swearing and cussing, and there's a clean version, but I'm not listening to that. I'm listening to the version that's cussing, saying like, oh, this version sounds better, And I was a hypocrite with that. And back to the other, the situation at the party, I realized that I was like, man, like I'm a hypocrite. I was like, oh my gosh, and I was crying. Because I like this girl. I love this girl. I really did. I loved her. I really did. I still do. I'm just kidding. That's hilarious.
I hope she sees these.
You're hilarious, bro. I really felt convicted. I felt wrong. I just felt wrong. I was crying. I was like, man, it's like I just messed this up. I was really trying to. I was trying to get closer to God. I was trying to realize things, and my mindset was that
that cry made you feel like, wow, I'm wrong. Like,
yeah,
I gotta go back to.
I felt but see, not even after that, I still didn't go back to God. But that helped me realize it. That started my process.
Yeah.
That started my process on it. My process about.
That was the beginning.
Yeah, but I still didn't go straight back. I still
slowly, but
definitely slowly.
But that was the born, like the feeling.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you realize that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You realized right there that you needed Christ.
Yeah, bro.
But it's been like what, 2 years or 3 since that situation?
2 years now.
2 years?
Yeah.
Well, it's a small, grown or process.
Yeah.
Process is small process, because we all go through process, and you're still going to process because you're barely 19.
I know.
So imagine the process you're going through whenever you were 25.
Yeah.
Or bigger. Like, the process is all your life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad that you were in the way, bro.
Yeah. Man.
How difficult is to be a Christian in your age?
That's crazy.
And how do you talk to other teenagers? Was it difficult in high school? Right now?
Yeah.
How difficult is it?
Honestly, I really just think I think it just depends on your choices, because right now I think it's not that it's an easy thing, but you don't have to make it hard. I surrounded myself with people who are Christian, people who love God, not people who say they're Christian, but people who are actually living it. Because there's a difference. I was that difference. I was the person that was saying they were Christian, but did I really love God? Like, I wasn't. My life did not reflect that at all. The choices I was making didn't reflect that. So I made a decision to surround myself with people that love God, and that made the difference. That made it so much easier, being. And I told someone else about that. I told Jordan about this. I was telling him, like, man, like, I'm so thankful for this ministry, for this church, because I have a community that not only knows God, but they love God. They love Him, and they want to serve Him, and that made it easier. Not saying that my process is not hard, but you have a choice if you want to make it harder or easier for yourself. If you want to be a Christian and love God still, but surround yourself with people who don't want the same things that you do, you could still be a Christian, you can still be saved, but you're making it harder for yourself. Those people don't know how to pray for you, they don't know how to be there for you, they don't know how to send you scriptures when you need help, and that's gonna be hard, in those times of need. You may not think about anything about it now, but in high school, that was the hard part for me. It was being surrounded by people who did not know God, and I felt I was a big people pleaser in high school. I still am, just a little bit. There's like levels to it, Of course I want to make people feel good, people feel happy, but it got to a point where it could become idol, like an idol.
Yeah, too much.
It could become an idol, where I'm so worried about making this person feel happy, and I'm denying parts of myself. So, I would keep God to myself. I would keep scriptures to myself, keep praying for people to myself, and not tell them. And that made it hard for me, And now I'm making it harder for myself because I'm not surrounding myself with godly community. There was a Bible group at my school. Never went to it.
What?
I knew the teacher too. She was my culinary teacher. She invited me. Never went.
Wow.
Never went. And I still don't know why.
But whenever you were in high school, do you used to like talk to your friends about God? And stuff?
Yeah, I definitely. My friends. This is so funny, bro. They knew me as a very
Christian.
Yes, very.
Did you ever got bullied or something?
Did I ever get bullied?
Yeah, for like the Christian.
Nah. I don't think I've ever been bullied. More so, just teased. Just because I am a good kid in school, and I've always had these different beliefs, like, I don't cuss, and that was a big thing. Oh my gosh, bro. Middle school, bro. That people were like, bro, just say it, just do it. I'm like, no, like I don't. Do it. Yes, bro, like just do it. Like, why don't you just say it? Like, it's not that big of a deal. And it's like, like making me feel weird about the choices about my life, how I want to live it. And I was teased. I was teased a lot,
What did they treat you like the weird guy or not like just like a little fun? They make a little fun of you and
just
stuff,
a little fun, like,
but not like big bully.
No, like I wouldn't call them my friends. They weren't my friends for a minute, but they weren't necessarily like mean to me. But like there was moments where it'd be like, oh, like you're soft because you're like this. You're too nice because you're like this. People would call me different things, and it was because of my personality, like there's nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong with me. It was more so just like, I had a different belief, and it's, a lot of times people use that against me, to make me feel weird about it. That was just in middle school. High school was a different story. People in high school, they
more chill. They understand.
Yeah,
more, right?
People in high school don't care. People in high school, they realize like you're gonna live a different life than they are.
Care.
And
they don't care if you're a Christian, satanic, crystal,
bro.
like
You're
astrologers.
Every person in high school is doing something different, bro. Doing something different, and you can see it sometimes. Sometimes people, never mind. You can just see it, Like there's just different things, you can notice it, and you can notice it about me too. Like the way I talk is different than other people, The music wasn't, but just the way I talk was different.
Have you ever seen your friends or some of the people that you used to know being safe in high school, or young people, or?
I wouldn't say in high school, and I think that more so falls on me. The people in my life, they become my responsibility on how God wants to reach them. If I'm that saved person, I can't think that another person is saved in their life and they're going to reach them. I just need to think about it. I might be the only person in this person's life that is reading my Bible, praying, and, that I'm going to be, the only Bible that they ever read in their life, And I wasn't doing that, I was scared. I was scared, bro. I was scared, I didn't think people were going to take me serious, and I was big on people liking me, I didn't want people to see me as like problematic because,
oh, you're gonna go to hell.
Yeah, and I was still learning, I was still learning the difference between like teaching people and guiding them and showing them the love of Christ and convicting them and telling them that they're wrong. I was learning that, that was the difference. I had he's still one of my closest friends, and there was a situation where we went on a trip and I felt so uncomfortable, bro.
Why?
And because I was surrounded by unbelievers, surrounded by unbelievers, and then, it was a group of guys. So
they're talking about
sex and wanting to, because we were at
girls.
this big convention, so there was girls there, we all had our own rooms, so they were talking about it, and I felt so uncomfortable. There was things that I wasn't gonna compromise about myself, and that was one of them. I wasn't going to do that, I went there with the mindset, okay, I'm not going to compromise myself. Even though I still was working on my relationship with God. I still was, I'm sorry. Oh, my gosh. I'm so sorry.
What do you eat?
Bro, I don't know. And this is so embarrassing. Please don't judge me. Oh, my gosh. Bro.
It's normal, bro. We all
bro.
How do you say it? Burp, fart, all those stuff. Bro, we're humans. It's okay.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. The trip. I really, I I feel like I handled it wrong because I went to my friend after the trip and I was talking to him like, man, like blah blah blah, this that, like why were you doing that, this, why do you think like when all these different things, you know? Yeah, I was really I was judging him, but I didn't have that mindset, you know. But the reason I was doing it is more so because you know, he said that he was a believer too. You know, but I did it so wrong. You know, I was questioning him and all these different things. And at the time, I didn't realize I was wrong, you know? And I had to go back to this friend and be like, man, I'm so sorry. Like, I really wish, like, not that I wish I could do things differently, but I was like, man, I wish you were closer to me now. Because I know God so much more. And I know that there's a reason why those things happen, those situations. It was there to teach me. You know, I learned from that. I learned how to deal with things like that, you know? Like, the best thing I could have did was just pray for those people, you know? Still not compromise myself, not act like I'm okay with it, which is what I was doing. I was acting like I was fine with it and stuff. But more so just being a loving person in their life so they can understand what God's love is like, you know?
Yeah.
So
just what you're talking about, how can you tell teenagers the difference between going to church and having a relationship with God? Like, really because they hear it, but they don't know.
Yeah.
They think it's the same thing, or it's just too religious.
Yeah.
They don't understand how, for you, on your experience, what's the difference?
Bro,
or how can you tell them, like...
That's a really good answer,
What
bro.
can you say?
Okay, so I'll start with myself first. You know, I'm not perfect. And that has been, you know, that's my testimony, you know, being religious and then having God in my life. There's a balance between it. You know, you need to have religion in your life. You need to have there's things that are set in place that are going to keep you, that are going to help you have a strong relationship with God, you know? So there's a balance to it, you know, but actually, you know, you can always love God more. So that's a good thing. You can always have a strong relationship with God, but don't negate religion. Don't negate it out of your life. Some people think that only religion's okay, or some people think that religion's just, I don't want it, you know? There's a balance to have in the religion part. Relationship, keep going. Yeah. Go as much as you want, you know? Keep God in your life, you know? Keep growing, you know? For me though, it was just a religion thing. I felt convicted about not praying in the morning, and not because I wanted to talk to God, but just because I felt like it was wrong. I felt convicted about not reading my Bible, not because I wanted to learn, just because I felt like it was wrong. And this is just for me, you know, my story. I gave my life to God in 2013 at the age of 8 and 7, but it wasn't because I was scared. I was scared of going to hell. That's why. Me too. And that's a fear, you know. You should fear eternal torment, you know. But I didn't fear God more. So I read my Bible from a place of fear, like, oh my gosh, like I'm not doing this right. Like I'm a Christian, I need to be reading my Bible because I don't want to go to hell. I'm a Christian, I should be praying because I don't want to go to hell.
That was the only reason.
That was the reason, you know. And I never told myself that, you know. But I started to realize, you know, I felt okay, like, if I was doing those things and then still living the life that I wanted to, which was listening to, you know, worldly music, which was hanging around people who are worldly and not letting them influence me, but
contaminating
your
brain,
my mindset and stuff. They were, you know, changing the way I talked, you know. Recently, I searched up, like, I was looking for something in my messages, and I found old messages, bro. Oh my gosh, bro, I used to talk so different, and I was like, what the heck, bro?
You get surprised when you see that.
I was, bro. My jaw dropped, wow. Bro. I was like, "What is happening, man? Like, I'm talking so different on here, and like, I'm a different person now, you know." And it made me happy. It was like, man, but like, God really did something in my life, you know. But back to the point you were saying, like, to young people who don't know the difference between religion and then actually loving God, having a relationship with God. It doesn't stop at Sunday, you know. You can't just going to church on Sunday doesn't save you. It doesn't, you know. I can say I'm a Christian, go to church every day on Sunday, and then go out and then do every single sin that's listed in that Bible. But going to church the next Sunday does not save me, and does not cleanse me either. Church is not a place. Church is not going to cleanse you. You know, you have to have that relationship with God, and that's where church is. Church is going to be that tool. You know, the pastor. People that are there, you know, they're there to help you. They're gonna be there to guide you and help you build that relationship with God. But it has to start with you actually wanting to have that relationship with God. You know, a lot of people, like, for me, you know, that it became more so like, okay, of course we're gonna go to church on Sunday. You know, it's just a habit.
A routine.
It was a routine. It was a routine. You know, and that was it. You know, okay, Monday go to school, Tuesday go to school, Sunday go to church. You know, but I can't just say I love God on Sunday. You know.
Yeah.
If I have a girlfriend, I can't say I only love her on one day. I can't say I only love her when I see her, you know? It's not going to happen. Wow, it's crazy.
Jordan would say that.
I know, right? That's funny, man. I can't say, you know, I love someone, but I only love them when I feel like I'm in their presence, you know? And that's crazy because God is everywhere. God is all around us, you know? God is always in the room with us, you know? And it's...
That's why you got to talk to him every day and grow your relationship.
Yeah.
Because it's a relationship.
Yeah.
It's not like you say, like a Sunday thing.
Yeah.
That's if you want to fall in love with God, make him fall in love with you. You gotta search him every day. Like, you know, read the Bible in the morning, pray, all stuff.
Yeah.
That's the communication
Yeah.
to him.
It's a relationship thing, you know. Like if I love someone, I want to talk to them. I have a desire to talk to them. I have a desire to be around them. I have a desire to let them know about myself, you know. And God is the same way. And the thing is, He has that same desire. He wants us to do that. He wants to know how our day is going. He sees what's happening, but He wants you to come and tell Him, you know.
Everything.
Everything. He wants to know everything about you. Yeah. And that is going to help you build your relationship with God so much, you know. But you have to want it, you know. You can't wait for a feeling to happen. You can't wait for, you know, someone else to spark it for you. God might use someone else, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be your choice. You know, it's gonna be your choice if you really want to grow in your relationship with God and really love Him, you know. And stop letting it be just a Sunday thing or, you know, a thing in your bio, a scripture, you know, your favorite scripture, you know. It has to be more than that. It has to be what your heart is saying. You know, my heart is saying I love God, and I'm going to let that control my life. I'm going to let that be my lifestyle. My lifestyle is I love God, and I'm going to let that show everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go.
That's good, bro. I like that answer. That's
Off the dome. Oh, my gosh. It's crazy.
I hope you guys like that answer. That's a good answer. So for those teenagers that are watching, they're dealing with alcohol, drugs, sex, porn, all the stuff, how do you deal with those temptations? Because I know this is a little personal. You told me once, and if you don't want me to put it, I'll cut it. But you told me that you were a virgin, right? How do you deal with that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, bro. Like, it's crazy for me to think because I did stuff very young. But when you're a teenager, like you are right now, and you haven't done much stuff, you're like more protective, like more. You haven't active that stuff yet. So how do you deal with those stuff that teenagers are dealing with?
Dang, we're gonna put my business up. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. No, that's really good. You know, for me, I think it was more so the way I was raised. I wasn't allowed to date.
What?
I wasn't allowed to date until I was 18 years old.
They told you that?
Yes.
Your parents?
My parents told me.
Both?
No, they didn't tell me that. They just didn't let me.
Dang,
So,
wow.
yeah.
They did a good job.
Yeah.
My mom was the same, but I still did it.
Yeah. For me, I more so, I had a very big fear of my parents. Not like a scary way, more so like a respect way.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get in trouble, so I didn't do a lot of things that I knew like I could get caught, because I did things I wasn't supposed to. Of course, kids do that, you know.
Yeah, of course.
But to answer your question, I think everybody has their own thing, you know. Everybody has that.
Yeah.
Everybody has that one thing or a couple things, you know, and that's fine. You know, it's things that are there because this world is desirable. You know, there's things on this world that we're going to desire. You know, whatever that thing is, you know, it could be laziness. I could desire being lazy. You know, is that different from me desiring sex? It's still, they're both still sins. You know, it's still a sin. You know.
So to make an example, for you, one thing that you deal with, what is that thing?
That I deal with?
If we can talk about it.
Let's see.
Like social media, music, maybe, or something that you're like, oh, God, please help me with this.
Yeah. Procrastination.
Procrastination.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So laziness, or no, it's not laziness. Just like you say that you're gonna do something right now. But
Actually, okay, we'll go to a better. I'll say lust.
Lust. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll say lust. I'll say that God is still working on me with that. You know, and I've made a lot of progress. Not me,
Yeah.
but God has been helping me so much with that. You know, but it's something that is never. Lust is. We live in Las Vegas.
Of course, yeah.
We live in Las Vegas, you know, lust is everywhere, you know, and but I'm so thankful for the process that God has me on, you know, like my life has been so affected by lust that it did a lot of things to me. Yeah, it did
Me
a lot.
too, bro. Like, to be honest, since I was a kid, like
Yeah.
since I was like, bro, I didn't like parents nowadays or people nowadays think like pornography. It's like the video, the website,
Yeah.
but you see it everywhere in the movies, in the
Yeah,
cartoons.
it's everywhere.
So since I had memory, I see it. Like I saw it in every cartoon,
Yeah.
in all the movies, like papers.
Yeah.
But my parents didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
But when I start seeing those things, that lust grow and grow
Yeah.
and grow, and then we'll me, I started like looking to those websites and stuff.
Yeah.
And my brain got infected since like a young age.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, like whenever you deal with that, whenever you have a big what is it called?
Like urge.
Yeah.
Mm.
Do you go to God and pray, or how do you deal with it?
That's a good question. And this is something that I've literally started this year, you know, when I have those urges, you know, because the urge is normal. The urge is normal.
Yeah, of course.
The urge is
We're
normal. God did that on purpose, you know. It's so you can you can have the desire for a person, you know, a wife or your
Marriage.
husband. But it just depends on what you're doing with that urge, because there's wrong ways to do it and there's a right way to do it, but the right way is marriage, you know, it's through marriage.
That's why I'm getting married.
So you're getting married, bro? Oh my gosh! Did you guys know he's getting married?
Nah,
This is crazy.
that's not my reason. You shouldn't get married because you have an urge.
That is true. Yes.
But the Bible says in, I think Corinthians, I don't know how to say in English,
Corinthians.
but Paul says like, if you deal with it,
Mhm.
it's better to get married.
Yeah.
And
That shows you the weight of it.
Yeah,
It shows
when
you
I
the
read
weight.
that, I was like, wow,
Yeah.
I gotta get married.
It shows. Dang.
No,
bro.
I was like,
Dang.
okay, I gotta prepare myself, and I gotta know that she's preparing
Yeah.
herself so we can get married.
There you go, bro. That's good,
Yeah.
bro. That's good. But that shows you the weight of it. You know, sexual sin it's a big weight. It affects your mindset. It affects your health. It affects so much about you. And it also is displeasing to God. You know, not that God's gonna love you any less, but it's displeasing. You know, it hurts God's
Yeah.
heart. So, there's two things that changed my whole life, bro. My whole perspective, my whole life is different. You know, because I've struggled with it for so long that I felt hopeless. I felt so hopeless in different seasons of my life. Like, man, like, what's the point of this? What's the point of me trying to give this up? What's the point of me trying to avoid, you know, different things or movies or scenes and stuff like that? You know, they're always going to be there. So it's like, what's the point, you know? And
It makes you makes you think like suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
Like that happened to me. What was the worst thing or the bottom rock with loss like that happened to you?
Happened with me?
Yeah, like one situation that you were like, maybe like me, like I want to, you know,
Yeah.
take my life.
You're funny, bro.
Yeah, because I don't want to say
No, I understand.
words because then you do.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. I think when I stopped caring, it became enjoyable. You know, it became
comfortable. You were
I got comfortable, and you know, it became something I was used to, something I was excited for, something that I would give up time for friends and family for, and it became a lifestyle. You know, I was making a sin into my lifestyle, and there was different times where I would just try to stop, you know, try to stop doing it, try to stop,
But
like
went back.
went back, you know, and then, you know, went through it was a cycle. It just became a really big cycle for me, you know. And does that answer your question? Yeah.
Yeah, but how right now, when the temptation comes,
Yeah.
how do you deal with it, or how can someone like you, like a young teenager, how can you tell them that they can deal with it? Like,
Yeah.
How can you tell them, or how can you help them in saying something
Yeah.
Like what's it called? I don't know how to say consejo.
Like inspirational or guide them? I don't know.
Yeah, like
I know what you're talking about though. Yeah.
like how what's something that you can tell them
Yeah.
that can help?
Okay. I have two things. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm ready for this. I got two things. Okay. So, one, the biggest thing is realizing that it's a problem. Okay, so I have three things. Realizing that it's a problem, accepting that this is a problem and that you have to fix it. You have to actually know that it's a problem. Because some people don't know it's a problem. Some people get to a point in their life where they're like, I don't care anymore. It's whatever.
Normal.
It's
like,
normal.
It's 25.
People do this, and it is normal in this society, in this world. In this world, it is normal. High school they talk about it all the time. People just talking about sex and these different websites and stuff like that. It becomes a normal thing, and then your brain becomes numb to it. Different movies and scenes that you see, like. It becomes such a normal thing and people don't care about it anymore, But you have to realize that if you want to love God, you can't love that as well. You can't love a sin more than you love God or almost as much as you love God. You can't love a sin at all, But it's desirable, But you have to realize in your heart, man, this is wrong. This is wrong and I'm hurting God's heart. And the solutions that I found that have been helping me and I know will help other people is one, accountability.
What does that mean?
Accountability means like letting someone know about your issues, doing life with another person,
Not keep it to yourself.
Yeah. So like if you tell me you want to stop eating fat, like gluten, stuff like that, but I see you eating gluten, I'm like, hey bro, you said you're gonna stop doing that,
Yeah.
I'm holding you accountable. Go
Oh
ahead.
my bad. So first, accepting that you're wrong. Second, accountability.
No, you're good. You got it.
What you said.
Accountability.
And third.
Well, let me explain it.
bad.
No, you're
Sorry,
good. Let me
sorry.
explain the accountability one, just so people know what I mean by that. When I came to the church, I started to get this desire for discipleship. And discipleship can be different things. It can be, this person's teaching you different things. It can be a really good relationship where they're helping guide you in a different thing, a form of ministry, whatever it is. It's someone that is teaching you about God and doing life with you, But the person that is discipling me, they became my accountability partner. I asked them, as I was going with them, I was like, hey, like I was talking to them, I was like, how can we grow this? How can I want to grow my relationship with God, but I know it's going to start here, how like me being accountable to you. And eventually I started to share with him that I dealt with that. I dealt with Les. And I was crying. I don't know if I was crying a lot, but I felt so embarrassed. But a person that loves you, they're going to want to hold you accountable to it, If you let them, you have to let that person hold you accountable, which is.
Did that person help you?
Yes. Okay. Hold on. Yes. Okay. Yes. They still are helping me. They've made the difference in my life. Wow. Accountability doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. It's not something it doesn't stop. It's not something that's like okay.
And it's not only with laws. It's whatever.
With everything.
Whatever you're going to.
Whatever you're dealing with. Whatever you want accountability. If someone can help you be accountable in the gym. They can help you with anything. It's just there's like different intensities to it. Stuff like that. What happened?
No.
My fault. Okay. Oh my gosh, bro.
I was confused. What was making that noise?
Oh my gosh. Okay. They're helping me with this, but I have to be accountable to that person, which means that if I know that I'm struggling with it, I need to tell them. That's not easy. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing to be like, bro, like I almost did this, and I'm like, bro, stop. But no, it is, bro. It can be embarrassing, but there's so much fruit from that can come from that. Like there's so many times. I'm gonna tell you about a time where it happened, and I had to be accountable. Accountable with everything. Not accountable when you feel like you're not gonna mess up, but accountable even in the moments where you are messing up. So then accountable in the moments where you're like, hey, bro, like I fell, like I messed up, I fell in the sin, and different people are gonna handle it different ways. But the main things that person that is gonna hold you accountable, they're gonna love you in that moment. They're gonna pray for you, and they're gonna guide you. They're gonna say, hey, like
it's okay.
Pick yourself back up. Like you got to get back up and go at it again. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop because it doesn't stop when you feel like you lost. But learning from every situation, you gotta learn.
Those people, they go through that too.
Yeah.
Or they used to, but they still fighting.
Yeah.
Like they understand.
Yeah. Then that helps. When that person has gone through it and they they know how to deal with it now, you know. Not saying that they've defeated that sin, you know, but they've conquered their mindset and what's pulling them towards it, you know. Because the urge isn't the sin, it's what you decide to do, and they have self-control, you know. They built that. So
It's a gift.
it's a gift that you can give to your, you know, that God has given to all of us, you know. God can give us all self-control, you know. He has, you know. It's just more, are you gonna build it, you know?
But you have to want it.
Yeah.
Like, God, please give it to me.
Yeah.
Like, and try, like,
Yeah.
like just like the gym. Like, if you don't go to the gym, you're not gonna have a good body.
Yeah.
Like, but if you don't look for God, you don't pray, you don't read,
Yeah.
you're not gonna have self-control, nothing of that, because self-control and all those gifts comes through God
Yeah.
by searching Him,
Right.
like looking for Him every day,
That's good.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree.
Oh,
Yeah. No, I'm agreeing
Yeah.
with you. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, what was the other thing that helped you to
Let me remember.
conquer lust?
Oh my gosh. Let me
So
remember.
one was accepting,
Accepting that.
the
you're
other
wrong,
one-
Yeah. Accountability.
or those two, or
I had another one. Oh my gosh. I should know. You know. 'Cause
maybe those two. It's okay. Like from
Oh my gosh.
accountability,
accountability. No,
Yeah.
you got it, bro. You got it.
from there comes a lot of stuff.
It does. No,
Yeah.
it really does. Accountability has made the difference in my life. And I'll tell you an example. You know, there was a time where I was really frustrated. I was really frustrated with this in a situation. I wasn't frustrated with people, just more so at the situation. I was irritated and I was mad, bro. And I was trying to go to sleep, and I could not go to sleep, bro. I could not. I sat there. I was like, oh my gosh, bro. Like, I'm frustrated right now, man. Like, I like, why is this happening? Like, this is irritating, you know. I wanted to go off on those people.
What?
I wanted to go off.
Like, blah, 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 blah.
yeah, this just because, you know, and not. It's just out of from a place of frustration. I didn't, you know. I had self control with that, you know.
Nice.
But I started to get these urges to, you know, like. In that specific sin, lust, like you can build habits, you know, like, oh, when I'm sad, I'm gonna go do this, or
Yeah.
you know, when I'm lonely, I'm gonna go do this, you know.
Yeah.
And I felt that coming back. I was frustrated, and I was by myself, and I felt like, oh, okay, I want to sin right now, you know. I didn't say that in my mind, but I felt
your
myself.
body, like,
I felt myself going towards that, you know, and I caught myself. I was like, wait a minute, this is wrong. This is wrong. I've been working so hard against this. I've been working so hard against this, to not do this, to fix my mindset, to praying and stuff. So I prayed, and I called my accountability. I called him immediately, and he was asleep. And I woke him up. I woke him up. He didn't care. You know, they're not. You know,
Wow.
he's there. You know, he's there for that reason. I called
He's
him.
a good leader.
Yeah, bro. I called him, and you know, I told him, you know, and I started crying because I was emotional. I was scared.
It's okay.
I was scared because I felt myself falling back into things that I thought I gave to God. You know, I felt myself falling back into old habits. You know, I almost did something that I hadn't done for months, and I felt so wrong. You know,
How did that thing was born? Like, did you saw something? Did you hear something? Or an idea?
Yeah.
Or a memory?
seeing like how it started.
How did it start that night? Like, what was the flame?
That night.
Yeah.
It wasn't night, but I'll tell you. I think not going to God. Yeah. Not going to God first. Not going to God first and going to other things. So I began to scroll. I began to scroll on Instagram looking for entertainment.
And you saw something.
I saw something. And then my mind just started going crazy. You know, my mind just started going and going and going. And I put my phone down, tried to lay down, tried to go to sleep. Nothing was working. But my biggest thing was I didn't go to God. You know, I didn't go to God first. But that was a learning point. You know, I'm telling you now, I don't know if I would have told you that in that moment, you know, but I learned from that, you know. And I called my accountability and I told him, you know, I was like, man, like, I was crying, like I feel like I'm about to fall. I feel like I'm about to fall into things that I thought I gave up. I feel like you know, I'm really about to mess up right now. And I said, like, I should have went to God first. Wow. I should have went to God first because I wouldn't be right here, like this far and this close to the line of sin if I would have just went to God with it first, you know. I was frustrated. I should have prayed about it. I was frustrated. I should have worshipped, And that's not the easiest thing to do, It's not the easiest thing to be like, okay, I'm frustrated. I'm gonna go home and do this,
Yeah.
It's not always desirable, I wanted to lay down. I wanted to go to sleep. I didn't want to get up and worship. I didn't want to get up and pray. But that's what you have to do, if you don't want to fall into sin. Because being frustrated is not a sin, but what could have came from that is a sin. I wanted to be upset with those people, and I wanted to tell them, bro. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to tell y'all so bad that I'm frustrated with y'all, And
But you didn't do it.
I didn't do. No,
Okay,
I didn't do
good.
it. I told
He
my
helped
mom.
you, and then you pray.
Yeah. You gotta make sure your accountability partner is gonna help you in the right way, though. They're gonna pray with you. They're gonna encourage you, and the person who's helping me, they're willing to stay on the phone, and just listen to me talk, whatever. But I know that I need to have a moment with God. I need to be accountable with God too. That's why I prayed first. I prayed to God to give me strength. Then I called my accountability. Right after that, I called my accountability partner and I told him, what was happening. Prayed with me, and they helped me. They told me what to do. Right now, just put your phone away. Put your phone down. Turn on some music. And just pray, pray. Pray. It's a good thing that you didn't fall. It's good that it didn't happen. But right now, it doesn't stop right after this phone call. Like the urge to just go away. It might have went away because I was crying, but I need to release these feelings I'm feeling, to God, and I didn't fall. So but accountability was the biggest thing. Inviting somebody into your life and telling them, the things that you struggle with, it doesn't have to be one thing. It can be several different things that person knows that you want to be held accountable to, and they'll do it, they'll do it. If they love you, they'll do it. They'll do it, and they'll do a good job about it too,
So he was a good leader.
Yeah.
Right? You still are.
Yeah, bro.
Nice.
He still is. Again, it doesn't stop. I'm like those things are never gonna go away. Even when I'm married, even people who are married, they get those urges.
Yeah,
and especially in marriage, because I don't want my wife to know. I'm scared. I don't want my kids to find out these different things. But having that accountability partner to be accountable to, they're gonna help you guide. God's gonna help you, but God's gonna speak to that person as well. If it's God, He's gonna speak to them. And that's one thing that I'm so glad. There's a whole story about how I met my accountability partner. It really is, bro. And it was God, it was truly God. And that's why I think it works so well. I'm learning so much from this person because they understand it, they understand what to do. And I'm learning from it. I've seen so many different breakthroughs from that one decision. Can you help me with this? Can you disciple me?
Wow.
And can you hold me accountable to this? And I've seen so much from that. So honestly, I think those are my 2 things.
Yeah.
Realizing that it's a problem and
look for someone,
being accountable to someone. It could be anybody. Some people it's their dad. Some people it's their brother. Some people it's their pastor. Just make sure that person's gonna give you godly counsel.
Yeah.
It can't be someone that is dealing with that sin too.
Yeah.
It can't be that person because
someone that's going the way that you want to be.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Someone that's already there, someone that's already there, and they're gonna help you take the steps that they did to get where they are, So
that's good, bro.
Yeah, bro.
That's good. I hope your experience and the little stuff that you have lived right now, because you still have many years.
Yeah, bro.
And many stories that are gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you can tell us right now, and I hope it can help someone listen to it.
Yeah, bro.
Someone that right now
they're struggling
dealing
with
it.
Yeah.
You're not alone. You're not alone. It's okay that you're not okay.
Yeah.
But you, like he said, you gotta accept that you're wrong. You gotta accept that you need God.
Yeah.
You gotta accept that you need Him, and believe that you need His Spirit to guide. But to finish off, I know I know we can be here hours and hours.
I will, bro. I'll talk all night.
But we should do a second season or a second episode.
Let's do it, bro. Yeah. Second season?
Yeah.
I like that idea too.
10 episodes every season.
Oh my gosh. That was cool, bro.
No, but to finish off, I have a good question that I didn't write down, and I didn't even Look,
You didn't read your questions?
not too many.
That's hilarious.
Only like two because, like told you early, like it has to be natural.
Conversation, yeah.
And I felt like this conversation was natural and
I've been acting this whole time.
yeah, very
No, I'm just
good.
kidding.
Like,
He didn't hear me.
what do you say?
I said I've been acting this whole time, but you.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Don't say that.
That's natural, bro.
Yeah. Like, one question that I had right now to close off.
Mm-hmm.
If you know how we live in Vegas,
Mhm.
if you were in a, what is it called? If they hang you a microphone,
Mm-hmm.
they give you the opportunity to talk to all the teenagers in Vegas,
Yeah.
right in the strip, like Jordan Enari, go talk
What?
to all the teenagers. You
Yeah.
have 5 minutes or whatever time.
Yeah.
They can hear you. What will you tell them?
Would I tell them?
Say?
Oh
Just
my
imagine that
gosh.
situation, like going up on a stage.
Yeah.
It's only you, and all the teenagers in Vegas
Yeah.
are hearing you.
Well, of course, the right answer is give your life to Christ. But in that moment, I don't think that would be my first idea. I'm just being honest. I don't think that would be my first idea. But I think once I thought about it, like, man, like, one, that's a lot of weight. Everybody, all the teenagers in Vegas,
They're looking at you.
yeah, they're looking at me.
They're like, what is he gonna say?
Right, like all that stuff, But truthfully, give your life to Christ, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, well, I already am a Christian. I already am. I go to church. Love God, truly love God, truly love God more than you say you do. You can say that all you want. You can say it, but does your life reflect it? Is your life reflecting
Your actions?
Are your actions reflecting that you love God? And the answer is most likely going to be no. The answer is probably going to be no. Most people I know, bro. I tell you, in high school, everybody says they're Christian. And it's not my place to judge them. I'm not going to say that they're not. But I can tell you right now that a lot of people that I knew were Christian, their lives did not reflect it. And that's not me judging them. It's me like man, you said you're a Christian. Why aren't you stopping doing that? Why aren't you realizing that that's a problem? All these different things, like you have to realize that there's a difference between saying you love God and actually doing it. When you love someone, it's gonna show. If I love a person and they tell me that they don't like something, I'm gonna stop doing that because I love that person. You can't say you love God and he says, okay, you love me, stop doing that. Okay, I love you on Sunday though, God, so I'll stop doing it on Sunday. Or God, I'll stop doing it a lot, or I'll do it a little less. That's not love. You're trying to make a compromise with God. You don't make compromises with God. God doesn't compromise. It's either you love me or you don't. So that's the biggest thing. Give your life to God and truly love God. Truly love him. As much as you say you do, let that reflect in your lifestyle.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you, bro. Like, I know I told you about this a few weeks ago, and I'm glad finally we did it.
Yeah.
And I know it's not gonna be the last.
I hope
the
not.
last video. But
this was fun.
Yeah.
This was cool.
So, till the next video, anything that you wanna tell them? Anything that you wanna
tell
say?
them?
Like anything, like
About
free
what?
words, like free.
About what?
About anything.
About anything? Don't put yourself down for the things that you're going through, Don't put yourself down for the sins that you deal with. Like, sin is sin and everybody's going to deal with it. Nobody is perfect. Nobody is sinless, Don't think that you can't do it or don't think it's too hard. A lot of people, they saw it as too much work, too much effort to put in, But I can tell you, like, from right now here today, that the effort that was put in on my part and the people's around me part, because it takes work to be someone's accountability partner. You got to be able to handle a person that's coming to you in a broken state, a state where they're crying. I was crying, and they're going through something right now. You got to be able to hold that. But for the person that is dealing with something and it's that one thing that you can't give up, you can't stop doing. Let God take it away from you. Don't see it as a and I kind of lost myself just a little bit, but it's okay. I'm gonna keep going with it. I'm gonna keep going with it. Let God do a work in your life. God can truly take it from you. God can truly take that thing out of your life and replace it. And that's what God did. God took God is taking that desire out of my life, the desire to go into that sin. The urge is always going to be there, but the choices that I can make have made the difference. You know, I'm a happier person. I'm a freer person. Because these things are chains. They're bounds. These things are going to keep us bound, and that's not right. We're not made to live like that. We're made to live in the freedom that God is providing. And that is the only way. There's no other way to get rid of sin in your life. It doesn't happen by coincidence. It doesn't happen by, you just feeling like one day you want to not do it. It happens when you accept Jesus Christ into your life and you let him break those chains off of you. And it's a process. It's not going to, maybe miracles can happen, it might happen in one day. That's happened before, people get saved. And then, I know someone's testimony like that. I know someone's testimony, they've been saved for a long time, but they didn't truly give their life to God until one situation. And they said from that day, they lost the urge.
Wow.
They lost the urge to go into that sin. And, that might sound unrealistic, but that's God.
That's real.
That's God. God moves. God is supernatural. Don't try to understand God's mind. You're gonna lose your mind trying to. But just trust that God can take it from you. You have to trust that it's something you can get rid of. Don't let yourself get into that hopeless mindset that I had, where I became hopeless about it and I let it become a lifestyle, because that's gonna take you that's gonna take you down a rabbit hole that you don't want to be on. So realize now that you have a problem and that you need to put in the work to fix it. And that work is going to Jesus Christ. Going to Jesus Christ saying, God, free me from this. But then don't let that be the only thing you do. Don't let that be the only thing. God's going to hear your prayer, but don't say that prayer and go right back into it.
Yeah.
Put some work in. Put some work into it. Put blockers on your phone. Stop using your money to go buy things you shouldn't go buy. Stop hanging around people that lead you towards those different things. That's the work that needs to be put in. So,
and don't look answers in magic cards,
yeah,
tarot,
yeah,
astrology,
yeah,
all the stuff. That's witchcraft, right?
Yeah.
Or how can you explain them?
No, yeah, witchcraft, astrology, all those different things. And that's a big thing. That's a big thing in our generation
or like
too.
The necklace,
Yeah.
the eye thing,
Yeah,
all the stuff.
Yeah, you're not gonna find your answers in anything else but God. You can Google it. You can look in those magic cards, a magic 8-ball, but you're not gonna find your answer there. You might find something temporary that feels good, but sin always feels like that. Sin always feels good and it's temporary. And that's how those things in the world make you feel. If that's what you want to do it. But I promise you that the love of Christ is greater, and the love that God can put in your life is so much better than anything else that this world can offer. So that's what I want to say.
Good. That's good, bro. Well, thank you again.
Yeah,
This is my brother in Christ, Jordan Enari. Mm-hmm. What's your social media?
Social media?
Yeah, so they can find you.
Oh my gosh, do I know it? I don't know if I know my social media like that. Let's see. You guys want to follow me? What?
Yeah, you should go follow him. So whenever he start posting his videos,
yes,
his podcast,
yeah, bro,
soon,
very soon,
you can hear him.
It's j.enari _
Okay, in all platforms.
I'm only on Instagram.
Oh, okay, so that's what matters.
Don't follow my Facebook. That's weird.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
That's old, bro.
That's old. It is, but it's for family.
Yeah, it's
don't
family
don't
thing.
do that.
Okay. But yeah, thank you, bro. Thank you for
bro.
sharing
Thank
your
you,
testimony.
bro.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Bro. No, thank you.
No,
Nah.
thank you,
Nah,
bro. I'm just playing with you, bro.
Well, I'm glad that you came, and I hope you come. We can do another
Yeah,
section.
bro. I would love to, man.
Appreciate it. And appreciate you guys for hearing his testimony a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit.
A little bit.
But we'll be seeing you guys again. I'm going to post more videos in English. But yeah, subscribe, share, leave your like, and see you next time. Thank you, bro.
You're welcome, bro.
Bye.